Alex wasn't like the other kids at Northwood High. While they clustered in loud groups, laughing and jostling, Alex always sat alone. Lunchtime was the worst. He'd find a quiet corner in the cafeteria, or sometimes even outside by the bleachers, unwrapping a meager sandwich or a small bag of chips. He never complained, never drew attention to himself. He was just quiet. His clothes were often a little worn, a little too big. His backpack, faded and patched, looked older than he was. He kept his head down, avoiding eye contact, almost as if he were trying to disappear. The other kids didn't bully him, not exactly. They mostly just ignored him. He was just there, a fixture in the background, a silent observer of the bustling high school life that he never seemed to be a part of. He ate his lunch quickly, almost furtively, as if he didn't want anyone to notice he was even eating. The bell couldn't ring soon enough each day, signaling the end of lunchtime and the start of classes, where he could fade back into the crowd. Crosstown, Greg worked hard. He was a construction worker, strong and dependable. He spent his days building houses, schools, and offices, shaping the landscape of the city. He was a cheerful man, always ready with a smile and a helping hand. He noticed things, too. He saw the world around him, the people in it, and the little details that often went unnoticed. One day, while working on a new school building near Northwood High, Greg started packing his lunch. His wife, Sarah, always made him a little extra, knowing how hard he worked. As he wrapped the sandwiches, he remembered seeing a young boy sitting alone outside the school. He'd seen him there several times now, always by himself. Greg felt a pang of sympathy. He remembered what it was like to be the new kid, the outsider. He thought about his own children, hoping they always had someone to sit with at lunch. He decided then and there that he would do something. He would offer the boy his extra lunch. It was a small thing, but maybe it could make a difference. The next day, Greg made sure Sarah packed an extra-large lunch. He had 2 sandwiches, an apple, a bag of chips, and a cookie. After eating his own small portion, he walked over to where he'd seen the boy sitting the day before. Alex was there again, sitting on the bottom row of the bleachers, head down, eating a small, plain sandwich. Greg approached him cautiously. He didn't want to scare him. "Hey there," Greg said, his voice gentle. Alex looked up, startled, his eyes wide. "I'm Greg," he continued, offering a friendly smile. "I work over there building the new school. I noticed you sitting here alone. I have some extra lunch. Would you like some?" He held out the lunch bag. Alex hesitated, his eyes darting between Greg and the bag. He seemed suspicious, unsure of Greg's motives. Greg knelt down, placing the bag on the bleacher beside him. "No pressure," he said. "It's just there if you want it. I hate to see good food go to waste." He stood up and walked back towards the construction site, leaving the bag behind. He glanced back once, seeing Alex still staring at the bag, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension on his face. The next day, Greg looked for Alex during lunch. He found him in the same spot, but this time the lunch bag was gone. Greg didn't say anything, just smiled and nodded. The day after that, Greg brought another lunch. Again, he found Alex on the bleachers. This time, as Greg approached, Alex looked up. His expression was still guarded, but there was a flicker of something else there, maybe gratitude. Greg simply placed the bag down and said, "Have a good lunch," before returning to work. For the next few weeks, this became their routine. Greg would bring the extra lunch and Alex would usually take it. Sometimes Alex would offer a small, almost imperceptible nod or a quiet thanks. Other times, he would just take the bag without a word. Greg never pressured him to talk or explain. He just kept showing up with the food. He understood that Alex needed time to adjust, to trust. He figured that consistent kindness without expectation was the best approach. He hoped Alex knew he could count on him. He saw in Alex's quiet eyes a sadness that he knew all too well needed time to heal. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the dynamic between Greg and Alex began to shift. The initial awkwardness started to fade, replaced by a quiet understanding. One day, Alex was waiting for Greg. As Greg approached with the lunch bag, Alex offered a small, genuine smile. It was the first real smile Greg had seen from him, and it warmed his heart. "Thanks, Greg," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. It was the most he'd ever said to Greg at once. Greg smiled back. "You're welcome, Alex," he replied. From then on, Alex started meeting Greg halfway. He'd still sit on the bleachers, but he'd be watching for Greg, a subtle eagerness in his eyes. He started offering more than just a nod or a mumbled thanks. He started asking Greg about his work, about the new school being built. He even started sharing small details about his own life, about the classes he liked and the books he was reading. The lunches became more than just a transaction. They became a quiet ritual, a silent agreement between two unlikely friends. A bond was forming over sandwiches and shared silences. The daily lunches became the highlight of both Greg and Alex's day. Greg looked forward to hearing about Alex's classes, his favorite books, and his dreams for the future. Alex, in turn, seemed to blossom under Greg's attention. He became more confident, more talkative, and even started to smile more often. Their conversations were simple, everyday things, but they were building a foundation of trust and understanding. One day, Alex seemed particularly down. He was quieter than usual, his eyes shadowed with a familiar sadness. Greg, sensing something was wrong, gently asked, "Is everything okay, Alex?" Alex hesitated for a moment, then sighed. "It's just, things are tough at home," he mumbled, avoiding eye contact. He didn't elaborate, but Greg could tell it was more than just a bad day. He noticed Alex's clothes were more worn than usual, and his backpack looked even more tattered. Greg didn't push him to say more, but he made a mental note to be even more supportive. He knew that sometimes, just knowing someone cared was enough. Over the next few weeks, Alex slowly revealed more about his home life. He never explicitly said he was being neglected or that he didn't have enough to eat, but Greg pieced it together from subtle clues. Alex would sometimes mention that he hadn't had dinner the night before, or that his younger sister was always hungry. He talked about his mom working long hours at 2 jobs and being too tired to cook. He spoke of an older brother who was often absent. Greg realized that Alex wasn't just lonely. He was struggling. He wasn't just a quiet kid. He was a kid who was dealing with more than any child should have to bear. The lunches weren't just a kind gesture anymore. They were a lifeline. Greg started packing even more food, adding extra snacks and drinks, making sure there was enough for Alex to share with his sister. He also started slipping in small, thoughtful gifts. A new pencil, a warm hat, a used book he thought Alex might enjoy. He wanted to show Alex that he wasn't alone and that someone cared about his well-being. He became more determined than ever to be a constant source of support in Alex's life. The construction project near Northwood High eventually finished, but Greg didn't stop bringing Alex lunch. He found other jobs in the area, always making sure he was close enough to continue their routine. He knew how much Alex relied on him, and he wasn't about to let him down. As Alex moved through high school, Greg remained a constant presence in his life. He celebrated Alex's small victories, like acing a test or getting a good grade on a project. He offered encouragement when Alex struggled, reminding him of his potential and his resilience. He listened patiently as Alex navigated the challenges of adolescence, offering advice and support without judgment. He even helped Alex with his college applications, proofreading his essays and encouraging him to pursue his dreams. Greg became more than just a provider of lunches. He became a mentor, a confidant, and a friend. He was the steady hand that Alex needed to guide him through a difficult time in his life. The simple act of sharing a lunch had blossomed into a deep and meaningful connection. As Alex grew more comfortable with Greg, he started to open up about his dreams and aspirations. He confessed that he wanted to be an engineer, designing buildings and bridges. He loved math and science, and he spent hours tinkering with old electronics, trying to figure out how they worked. He talked about wanting to go to college, but he wasn't sure how he would afford it. Greg listened intently, encouraging Alex to pursue his passions. He shared stories about his own work, explaining the engineering principles behind the buildings he helped construct. He even brought Alex blueprints and diagrams, showing him how everything fit together. He helped Alex research scholarships and financial aid, guiding him through the complicated application process. Greg saw in Alex a bright future, a potential that needed to be nurtured and supported. He knew that Alex had the talent and the drive to achieve his dreams, and he was determined to help him get there. He encouraged Alex to believe in himself, even when things seemed impossible. He reminded him that he was smart, capable, and deserving of success. The shy, quiet boy who once ate lunch alone was slowly transforming into a confident young man with a clear vision for his future. Years passed. Alex successfully graduated high school and, with Greg's unwavering support, earned a scholarship to a prestigious engineering university. They stayed in touch throughout Alex's college years, their bond deepening with each passing year. Greg continued his work as a construction worker, building a life with Sarah, his loving wife. Now, Greg was preparing for another big milestone, his wedding to Sarah. He was bursting with happiness. He had found the love of his life, and he couldn't wait to spend the rest of his days with her. The wedding preparations were in full swing. The venue was booked, the flowers were ordered, and the invitations had been sent. He was surrounded by friends and family, all eager to celebrate his special day. He felt incredibly lucky and grateful for everything he had in his life. He knew that Alex wouldn't be able to make it to the wedding due to his demanding engineering studies, but he understood and appreciated Alex's heartfelt congratulations. Greg knew that Alex was thinking of him, and that was enough. He was ready to start this new chapter in his life, filled with love, joy, and the promise of a bright future. Greg's wedding day dawned bright and clear. The sun shone down on the picturesque venue, a beautiful garden filled with colorful flowers and lush greenery. The air was filled with the sweet scent of roses and the cheerful chatter of guests. Greg, dressed in a sharp suit, stood nervously at the altar, his heart pounding with anticipation. He glanced around at the faces of his loved ones, his family and friends who had come to share in his joy. Sarah looked radiant as she walked down the aisle, her dress shimmering in the sunlight. Greg's eyes filled with tears as he watched her approach, her smile lighting up the entire garden. The ceremony was beautiful and heartfelt, filled with vows of love and commitment. As they exchanged rings, Greg felt an overwhelming sense of happiness and gratitude. He knew he was the luckiest man in the world. After the ceremony, the guests moved to the reception area, where they enjoyed delicious food, lively music, and heartfelt toasts. Greg and Sarah danced their first dance as husband and wife, their eyes locked in a loving gaze. The day was perfect, a dream come true. As the reception was in full swing, with music playing and guests laughing and mingling, an unexpected arrival caused a ripple of confusion through the crowd. 11 uniformed officers entered the garden. Their crisp uniforms and serious expressions stood in stark contrast to the festive atmosphere. A hush fell over the reception as all eyes turned to the unexpected guests. Some people whispered amongst themselves, wondering if something was wrong. Greg, initially confused and slightly concerned, exchanged a puzzled glance with Sarah. He couldn't imagine why the police would be at his wedding. Were they responding to a noise complaint? Had something happened nearby? He tried to remain calm, hoping it was nothing serious. The officers moved purposefully through the crowd, their presence creating a palpable sense of unease. They seemed to be looking for someone, their eyes scanning the faces of the guests. The music faded, and the joyous atmosphere was replaced by a tense silence as everyone waited to see what would happen next. The officers stopped in front of Greg, their expressions serious and unreadable. Greg felt a knot of anxiety tighten in his stomach. He had no idea what was going on, but he knew it couldn't be good. The officer in the lead, a tall, imposing figure with a stern face, stepped forward. He paused for a moment, his eyes meeting Greg's. "Mr. Greg Olson?" he asked, his voice clear and authoritative. Greg swallowed hard and nodded. "Yes, that's me," he replied, his voice barely a whisper. The officer's gaze softened slightly. He extended his hand. "Sir, I am Officer David Miller, and these are my colleagues. We are here to express our sincere gratitude." Greg looked at him, completely bewildered. Gratitude? What could these officers possibly be grateful for? He shook Officer Miller's hand, his mind racing to make sense of the situation. He glanced at Sarah, who stood beside him, equally confused and concerned. The other officers stood silently behind Officer Miller, their presence adding to the already intense atmosphere. It was clear that something significant was about to happen. Officer Miller cleared his throat and continued, "Sir, we all attended Northwood High School. We were classmates of a young man named Alex. Perhaps you remember him." Greg's eyes widened in realization. Alex, of course. But what did Alex have to do with all of this? "We are here today because Alex told us about you," Officer Miller explained. "He told us about how you helped him, how you fed him when he was hungry, how you supported him when he felt lost and alone." He paused, his voice filled with emotion. "We all knew Alex back then. We saw him sitting alone at lunch. We knew he was struggling, but none of us did anything to help. You did. You saw his need, and you acted with kindness and compassion." Officer Miller gestured to the other officers. "We are all now serving in different branches of the military and law enforcement. We owe a debt of gratitude to both you and Alex." The revelation hung in the air, leaving Greg speechless and deeply moved. He had no idea that his simple acts of kindness had had such a profound impact, not only on Alex but on so many others as well. "Alex's story about your kindness stuck with us," Officer Miller continued. "It made us realize the importance of looking out for others, of reaching out to those who are struggling. It inspired us to be better people, to serve our community with compassion and integrity." He explained that Alex had kept in touch with several of his high school classmates, sharing updates about his life and expressing his deep gratitude for Greg's unwavering support. Alex often spoke of Greg's generosity, emphasizing how Greg's simple act of kindness had changed the course of his life. These stories resonated deeply with Alex's former classmates, many of whom had witnessed Alex's struggles firsthand but hadn't known how to help. They realized that Greg's actions had not only transformed Alex's life but had also served as a powerful example of the impact one person can have on another. They decided to come to Greg's wedding to show their appreciation and to honor the man who had taught them the true meaning of kindness. They wanted Greg to know that his actions had created a ripple effect, inspiring them to dedicate their lives to serving others. With a synchronized movement, the 11 officers stood at attention. Officer Miller, his voice filled with respect, gave the command, "Present arms." In unison, the officers raised their hands in a crisp, formal salute, their eyes fixed on Greg. The sound of their salutes echoed through the garden, a powerful symbol of gratitude and respect. Greg stood there, stunned and deeply moved, tears welling up in his eyes. He had never expected such a grand gesture of appreciation. He had simply done what he thought was right, offering a helping hand to someone in need. He had no idea that his actions would have such a profound impact, not only on Alex but on these 11 men as well. He returned their salute, his heart overflowing with emotion. He realized that the true reward for his kindness wasn't the recognition or the gratitude, but the knowledge that he had made a positive difference in the world. He had helped a young boy find his way, and in doing so, he had inspired others to do the same. The officers held their salute for a long moment, a silent tribute to Greg's unwavering compassion. Then, with another synchronized movement, they lowered their arms and stood at ease. Just as the officers lowered their arms, a voice called out from the back of the crowd, "Greg!" Everyone turned to see a young man walking towards them, a wide smile on his face. It was Alex, but not the shy, withdrawn Alex that Greg remembered. This Alex was confident, successful, and radiating happiness. He was dressed in a sharp suit, and his eyes sparkled with joy. He rushed forward, bypassing the officers, and threw his arms around Greg in a warm embrace. "I couldn't miss this for the world," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I know I told you I couldn't make it, but I had to be here. I had to thank you in person." He stepped back, holding Greg at arm's length, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You changed my life, Greg. You gave me hope when I had none. You believed in me when no one else did. I wouldn't be where I am today without you." His heartfelt words touched everyone present, bringing tears to many eyes. Alex's transformation was a testament to the power of Greg's simple act of kindness. He was no longer the lonely, quiet teen. He was a thriving young man, ready to take on the world. Alex, seeing the captivated audience, asked if he could say a few words. Greg nodded, his eyes still filled with tears. Alex stepped forward, addressing the crowd with confidence and grace. He spoke about his difficult childhood, about the loneliness and the struggles he had faced. He talked about how Greg had come into his life and changed everything. "Greg didn't just give me lunch," Alex said, his voice resonating with emotion. "He gave me hope. He showed me that someone cared. He believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." He paused, his eyes meeting Greg's. That simple act of kindness, that offering of a sandwich, it changed the trajectory of my entire life. It made me believe that I was worthy of something better, that I could achieve my dreams. He went on to explain how Greg's support had helped him get through high school, apply for college, and pursue his passion for engineering. He emphasized that Greg's influence extended far beyond just providing food. He had provided guidance, encouragement, and unwavering friendship. He finished his speech by raising a glass to Greg and Sarah, wishing them a lifetime of happiness and love. His words left a profound impact on everyone present, highlighting the extraordinary power of ordinary kindness. Greg stood there, speechless, tears streaming down his face. He was overwhelmed with emotion, his heart overflowing with gratitude and joy. He had never realized the profound impact of his actions. He had simply seen a need and tried to fill it, offering a small act of kindness without expecting anything in return. Now, standing at his wedding, surrounded by loved ones and honored by these remarkable men, he understood the true power of compassion. He had not only changed Alex's life, but he had also inspired others to be better, to serve their community, and to make a difference in the world. The weight of this realization settled upon him, filling him with a sense of purpose and fulfillment he had never known before. He looked at Sarah, his beautiful bride, and knew that he had found not only the love of his life, but also a partner who shared his values and his commitment to making the world a better place. He was grateful for the simple act of kindness that had led him to this moment, to this perfect day, surrounded by love, gratitude, and the knowledge that he had made a difference. The wedding celebration resumed, but the atmosphere had shifted. The joy and laughter were now infused with an even deeper sense of appreciation and gratitude. Everyone had been touched by Alex's story and the officers' heartfelt tribute. They understood that they were witnessing something truly special, a testament to the power of human kindness and the ripple effect it can create. The music started up again, and Greg and Sarah took to the dance floor, their eyes locked in a loving gaze. This time, their dance was filled with even more emotion, a silent acknowledgement of the extraordinary events that had just unfolded. The guests cheered and applauded, their hearts filled with warmth and admiration. The officers mingled with the crowd, sharing stories about their lives and expressing their gratitude to Greg and Sarah for inspiring them. Alex stayed close to Greg, their bond stronger than ever. The wedding celebration continued late into the night, filled with laughter, music, and heartfelt conversations. It was a day that no one would ever forget, a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can have a profound impact on the world. Years turned into decades, and Greg and Alex remained the best of friends. Alex, now a successful engineer, never forgot Greg's kindness and continued support. He frequently visited Greg and Sarah, sharing stories about his work and his life. He always made sure to express his gratitude, reminding Greg of the profound impact he had had on him. Greg, in turn, was immensely proud of Alex's accomplishments. He saw in Alex a reflection of his own values, a testament to the power of compassion and the importance of believing in others. They celebrated each other's milestones, offering support and encouragement through every challenge. Their friendship became a source of strength and inspiration for both of them, a constant reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can have a lasting impact. The story of Greg and Alex became a local legend, a tale told and retold, inspiring others to reach out to those in need and to make a difference in their community. It was a story about the power of human connection, the importance of compassion, and the extraordinary things that can happen when we choose to be kind. And it all started with a simple sandwich.